Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to round 3, stage 3 of the Zwift Racing League. Today, we are going to be on an interesting course that brings us to a big question. Will there be a bike change? Well, let's get into the Recon. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we are on the route Road to Ruin Reverse, which is an event-only course, so I have to apologize for the big yellow banner thing above my head. Unfortunately, this was the only way I could get into the route and actually do a recon for you guys. But anyways, we have a 29.8 kilometer route with 275 meters of climbing. Now, the big issue with that is that we go up part of the Epic KOM start, and then we go into the jungle and we face a ton of gravel and dirt. Yikes. It's going to be a longer route. It's going to be a longer race. So I hope your stamina is ready to compete, because it's going to actually, it's going to mean something today, I think. Now the big power up is going to be the steamroller, and it's 100% drop rate. There's only a few banners throughout the course, so it's not going to be a huge difference, but it's going to help support my bike of choice going into this recon. Now, Road to Ruins. It's a lot of dirt. Yes. It's got some pavement. Yes. Should you go gravel? Should you go mountain bike? Should you just keep with the road bike? Should you do a bike change? And it wouldn't be one of my recons if I didn't give you options. So here's my opinion. Did you really think there was going to be an option to do a bike swap? No, leave. Listen, go do a different recon. Go lose somewhere else. Because here is where we shape winners. We shape winners with these recons. We shape the best. We are the greatest recon known to this channel. All right? And if you do a bike swap, you are just asking for a miserable time and a disappointment on your Tuesday morning, evening, whenever you're racing. Don't do a bike swap. You're going to go up with the Pinarello Dogma F, the 2024 version, along with disc wheels. Listen, there's nothing that's going to beat this combo. Now, I had to do the math. I had to calculate if a bike swap was part of the plan. And on paper, it is faster to do a bike swap partway through this route. But the issue with a bike swap is that it is quicker in a time trial on the gravel bike and the Pinarello Dogma or the Tron. But in a race where there's draft and there's going to be faster parts on the gravel and on the pavement, there is no competing. There will be no bike swap. And I, again, am going to be right that if you ever bike swap in a race of mine, you're just going to lose. So with that, let's get on into the recon. Now, the start of this route isn't that exciting. We're going to be starting down into downtown Watopia Pens yet again. I feel every week we're in Watopia, we're in the downtown Pens. We're going to be making our way into the volcano. And honestly, I thought we were going to be going towards Jarvis Island, but not to make history yet again. Or the second time in history, I guess. Whatever. Anyways, we're going to be making our way into the Italian villas, up that dirt little path, and down the long, windy straights into the ocean tube. And this time, we're going towards the dangerous side of the Epic KOM. Now, I say it's dangerous because it starts off onto a 2% on the wooden bridge, and then goes straight up into a 10% for the first part of the climb. Now, I've raced on this part of the route a few times, and I've been quite successful in being able to keep up in the power category to get up and over the 10%, up and through the 7, 8, and then the 12% climb, and then keep going. Now, instead of taking a right like we do in this course, I've usually taken a left, gone through the epic KOM bypass, but this time we're going to be going up and towards the jungle. Again, there's going to be a slight increase of elevation, about 3% for about a kilometer or so, and then you hit quite the descent. Now, what I would recommend is to burn matches quickly. You need to make sure you're up with this front group during the first part of the climb and the first part of this race, because there's not going to be a chasing group to catch up to the front group during this race. It just doesn't look possible, and if you are able to, good for you, but make sure you get up that hill. Everyone's going to be hurting. Just make sure that you're at least towards the front. About 12.4 kilometers into this race, this is where we start the official gravel/dirt section of the route. Now, for the next about 10 kilometers or so, we're gonna be in gravel. So this is where some people might take that stupid risk of doing a bike swap. Don't do it. There's no reason to. The next part of this race is all downhill, so you're kind of gonna be losing a bunch of time to the people ahead of you. And then the climb just isn't big enough or long enough for a gravel bike to catch up. Now you're going to be going across the bridge and through the jungle as you go towards the ruins, and honestly, there really isn't much to talk about during this part of the race. It's going to be all downhill, and any pushes or breakaways most likely will not be happening. At 17.3 kilometers into the race, you're going to be getting your next power-up of the steamroller. Now, the steamroller, I think, has its possibilities of some strong riders getting away from the front of the pack, but honestly, I don't see a huge breakaway forming during any part of this race, and it's going to be going down for a sprint finish, but the active zones of a usage of these steamroller power-ups are going to be going towards the 19.5 kilometer point, where you're going uphill, hitting some 3-4%, and you're on that gravel. You're going to want to hit that steamroller button and kind of fly up those hills. It's going to use a lot of energy from the people around you that haven't used their power up yet, or the ones that have may be in trouble at this point. Around 21.3 kilometers, this is going to be your last chance to use the steamroller power up in a effective way. There's only one other point where there is gravel or dirt where you could use it, but other than that, it's going to be quite useless for the rest of the race. So make sure you use it at this point if you haven't already. Remember, it doesn't do anything on pavements, so it's a useless power-up for the end. Now at this point of the race, you've left the jungle, and basically all you have left is one spot to break away from the group, or it's gonna come down to a sprint finish. Like I said, I think this is a tough route, and it really executes well on being good for your top riders. If you have good stamina and you can climb somewhat well in the beginning of this race, it's going to come down to you for big points for your team. Now, as you exit the Ocean Boulevard here, around 1.5 kilometers left in the race, this is going to be a spot where people might be putting down some power for at least a little bit before the ending. Basically, every single race I have on this part of the route has people pushing extremely hard until there's about a kilometer left into the race. At this point, people might slow up and try to catch the breath, get their legs ready for a sprint. Now, if you're feeling quite strong at this point, I would consider keep going, because if you are not going to beat these guys on a sprint, some of the heavier riders that may have survived this whole race, then this is your time to shine and try to continue on with the power towards the finish. Now, like I said, it's very unlikely this is going to be a scenario that happens in your race, but make sure you stay up with anyone, get in the draft, and get ready for a sprint finish. Now, this is going to be probably one of the easier ride endings we've had in quite a while in the Zwift Racing League, so get ready for it and go out with a bang. get a big sprint number and hit the power, hit the NOS, and get in there for a victory. And you know what you can say if you win? I didn't do a bike swap. Because everyone who's done and did a bike swap cheated. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be it for me here for the Zwift Racing League Stage 3, Round 3, Road to Ruins Reverse. Next week we have a team time trial on a course that I don't know off the top of my head. Anyways, it's going to be probably a lot of fun, and I hope you enjoy this recon, and I hope you enjoy my next one. Make sure you hit the like button and subscribe for updates. And there's also going to be a update on my channel very shortly. If you guys want to continue watching this, just hit that as well. It's just going to be an update about this channel, my recons, and also kind of like my life stuff. So thank you all, and I'll see you next week.